Hey there, cats and kitties. I'm the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on the recently released new trailer for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which was just amazeballs. Eyegasms aplenty, eargasms aplenty. That, Imperial March that begins, the scoring of this trailer is just, magnificent. And all of the imagery, I've been largely staying away from spoilers. I haven't been committing to memory any of the character names as I've heard other people talking about them and everything like that, with the exception of Jyn Erso. She's the only, character whose name I've actually learned at this point and am able to retain in my memory. Everyone else, it's going to be a surprise and, an experience of wanting to get to learn who all these people are. You see Forrest Whitaker, and I love the, dialogue back and forth between his character and Jyn Erso, where they're talking about whatever opportunities arise in this particular reference and what's going on in the film. There's something we can actually do to fight the, the sort of clasping hands of the Empire. And the Empire is in full effect. They are occupying planets, it looks like. And, there's some really great spatial imagery dealing with the Death Star. We get some more imagery that we've already seen before, like, the sunlight panning across the rounded, Death Star and some Star Destroyers. We get a different shot of a Star Destroyer coming out of, almost like out of the shadows, almost like a pensive shark, about to strike. And it just is frickin' amazing. There is a planet I think I've heard people referring to as Jeddah, which is, there's a temple upon which I think alludes to the Jedi religion. You see frickin' Donnie Yen. I think one of my favorite parts in this trailer was his dialogue about, "I fear nothing, all is as the Force wills it," something along those lines, before opening a can of whoop ass and seemingly, unless it's just a trick of the editing, saving Jyn Erso and the guy who is her, sort of partnered up with her, Captain something or other. Again, I haven't learned the names, but I like the banter between them. He's basically saying, if you're really committed to doing this, I want to help. And, they exchange the good dialogue back and forth as they're seemingly piloting a new type of, like it's not an X-Wing. It looks like it's a troop transport kind of, but it's built on the same kind of aesthetic as the X-Wing. I don't know exactly what this is called. I think I heard someone call it a U-Wing, but I'm not sure if that's the particular vehicle they're talking about. Absolutely laughed out loud at the droid coming up to Jyn Erso and saying, like, Captain something or other says you're good. I will not kill you today, whatever it is he says. And he has almost Anthony Daniels C-3PO kind of voice. I think I've heard Alan Tudyk is voicing this character. I could be incorrect. Might be mixing and matching, two different movies or something like that. But another favorite part was seeing actual X-Wings flying through the dark and unleashing havoc on what looks to be a stormtrooper stronghold. You get a good shot of, like, one of the bad guys in the film. I forget the actor's name, and I don't know the character's name. But I love the contrast of he's surrounded by, like, Imperial officers, I believe probably on the Death Star. And he is in a flowing white cape and white uniform to be contrasted. And it just, he looks like he is all kinds of pissed, looking down at this planet, probably the planet Jeddah or whatever it's called, that we've seen all throughout the trailer, with this potential temple and everything like that. I don't know if they are going through the motions of destroying this planet or if they're looking for something, maybe Jedi artifacts, that kind of thing. I know in Rebels, Darth Vader is that's one of his missions, other than looking for, long lost Jedi to destroy and murder and maim and all that kind of stuff. And it's just all kinds of crazy. You got the one guy, like, unleashing an RPG on an AT-AT, or I think I've heard somebody refer to it as an AT-ACT. Like a sort of different model of AT-AT walker. Tons of great imagery. There's one point where you see Erso, like in a ship, and it looks like all kinds of hell is breaking loose around the ship. Like, you know, a mountain is caving in on them or something like that. They go to light speed. It looks like they go to light speed right from within like the planet's atmosphere, and that, if that's true, unless it's a trick of the editing, that would be pretty interesting, because we already had kind of the opposite in The Force Awakens, the Millennium Falcon coming out of light speed in the atmosphere of Starkiller Base, and you know, that was an interesting visual. To see the opposite of that, if that's what they're going for, could be pretty awesome. The brief glimpse of going into light speed that we see looks spectacular, and I mean, that's the whole gist of this trailer. I was goosebumps, and I'm goosebumps every subsequent time I sit through this freaking trailer. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. From the music to the characters, like, I feel like a very similar sensation to when I sit down and play one of my old Final Fantasy games, or when I would play them for the first time. I would know I would be in for a grand adventure, a heartening or disheartening adventure, one that would play on my emotions, and, you know, everything from give me laughs to make me cry to make me on the edge of my seat, like gritting my teeth, and just the intensity. And know that a band of, in this case, rogues are going to come together, no pun intended, but that's the whole purpose of this story. A group of maybe unlikely people with a similar distaste for, you know, the imperial occupation that is unfolding across the galaxy, and this, you know, mission, a life and death mission, one can assume, to get the plans to the Death Star, this penultimate weapon in the Empire, to try to destroy it and shut it down. These people are integral to the Star Wars story. They are integral to the fabric of what makes Star Wars what it is. You know, we wouldn't have had Luke Skywalker finding a way to destroy it, and all the rebels, you know, finding a way to destroy the Death Star, without these people. And we're going to see their story, as harrowing as it is. And of course, I would be remiss without mentioning the final shot of Darth Vader from behind. You briefly hear his breathing apparatus, and he's looking at what appears to be maybe a schematic of the Death Star, or maybe a planning, you know, kind of a planetfall sort of orbital map kind of situation, akin to what we've seen in the previous Star Wars trilogy. And, oh, God, just, you know, if I had had the ability to record myself watching this, there would have been a lot of oohs, ahs, oh, you know, just left, right, and center, and it was just amazing. It was amaze balls. I can't wait for this movie. I'm so freaking stoked for this movie. It's something I never would have imagined possible. A movie set within the Star Wars universe, and it doesn't have to be related directly to the Skywalker sort of, you know, lineage, that whole story, that saga. It's going to be its own thing, but it's playing a very, you know, significant role in the history of Star Wars, the entire saga as we know it. And this is the first stepping stone in what I hope to be a grand sort of tapestry that unravels. I know there's going to be a young Han Solo movie. They haven't announced it, but everyone is speculating there's going to be at least one Obi-Wan centric movie, maybe a trilogy, perhaps a Yoda movie. You know, I mean, they could do anything. And it's just a great time to be a fan of Star Wars. Star Wars was one of my very first influences as a wee tot, and I never thought I'd be, you know, come like almost 40 years later, would I be this ecstatic and this welcoming and this surprised and excited for that story, that saga to continue, and also in many different spin-offs, that kind of thing. So, yeah, enough superlatives from me on this sucker. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below if it rocked your ever-loving world like it did me, this trailer, if it has you stoked. If not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. Anything goes in the comments below. Love it or hate it. Just love having that conversation. And so, yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and may the Force be with you.